Hello. In this video, I'm going to talk about the causes of the War of Roses. The War of Roses happened in 1455 to 1485. It was a civil war between two lawyer houses, York and Lancaster, on the matter of English lawyer succession. The war was named many years after the actual event, actually in 19th century. The name came from the symbol of two houses, white rose for York, red rose for Lancasters. That's why it is called the War of Roses. The Hundred Years' War. The Hundred Years' War ended in 1453, only 2 years before the start of the War of Roses. The cause and the tension between two houses started during the last decades of Hundred Years' War. Weak King Henry VI. Henry VI was son of Henry V, very strong military king, and Catherine of France, French princess. Henry VI is actually the last king of England to fight in Hundred Years' War. He was a king of England when England was winning the Hundred Years' War, but he made some crucial mistake which turned the table around. One of the mistakes was marrying Margaret of Anjou. Margaret of Anjou was a niece of Charles VII of France. She was known for her beauty, but she was very poor. Henry VI wanted to marry Margaret of Anjou for peace between England and France for 21 months in 1445, but there was a few problems with this match. Problem 1. Margaret of Anjou was no blood kin of Charles VII, but niece by law. Also, she didn't bring her dowry. Her father was supposed to pay her dowry, but her father was poor, so she married Henry VI without bringing any dowry. So for England, there wasn't any benefit of marrying Margaret of Anjou since Margaret was no heir to the French throne, and also she didn't bring any money. Another problem, the biggest problem, was marrying Margaret of Anjou. Henry VI had to give Maine and Anjou to France. Henry VI kept the Maine and Anjou condition from his parliament and just married her without telling them about it. The yellow part is the Maine and Anjou, the land England is supposed to give to France for marrying Margaret. Henry VI tried to keep the condition secret from his parliament, but he failed. Eventually, people found out about the condition, and the marriage of Henry VI and Margaret of Anjou became very unpopular. For another treason. In 1447, Margaret of Anjou arrested Duke of Gloucester, Henry VI's uncle, for treason. Nobody knows what made her think it was treason, but he was arrested and he was found guilty of it. Duke of Gloucester died in his jail in 1447. It was significant because Duke of Gloucester was heir to the throne. Since Henry VI didn't have any children, but Duke of Gloucester was Henry V's only surviving brother who can succeed the throne. So he was next in line, but he died. So after the death of Gloucester, Richard, Duke of York, became the heir to the throne, but Duke of York was not in London back then. Richard, Duke of York, was sent to Ireland in 1445 already. After vocally opposing marriage between Henry VI and Margaret, also on the main issue on the Maine and Anjou. This is a Duke of York. They are still in the same lawyer family, but not directly related. Not very close relatives to each other. This is House of Lancaster, the Monarch family. This is a Cadda family. Defeat of England. In 1453, England lost Hundred Years' War. After killing Duke of Gloucester and sending Duke of York away, Henry VI appointed Margaret's favorites as military leader in France and also in his council. Henry VI lost Hundred Years' War after marrying Margaret, actually, and it was a war his father, his grandfather, his great-grandfather were winning, actually, and he just lost it all in 8 years after marrying Margaret of Anjou. Henry VI's illness. After losing Hundred Years' War in 1453, Henry VI fell gravely ill. He was mentally unstable and he couldn't recognize his long-awaited son Edward. Since Edward was not recognized by Henry VI, Edward was not considered to be the heir to the throne, although Edward was the Prince of England. Since Henry VI couldn't perform his role as king and Edward was not recognized, Duke of York stepped in to govern the kingdom as the Lord Protector and the regent. Queen Margaret was casted aside to look after her son and the sick husband. Lord Protector. Once Richard, Duke of York, became the Lord Protector, he started to clean up the messes made by Henry VI and his favorites. He arrested Duke of Somerset for corruption. Duke of Somerset is also responsible in losing Hundred Years' War, and some of the other Lancaster lords as well. However, that didn't last long. A year after the defeat of Hundred Years' War, on Christmas of 1454, Henry VI regained his senses and started to recognize his family. He relieved Duke of York from his position as a Lord Protector and Regent, meaning Henry VI fired Duke of York. Historian Robin Story said Henry's insanity was tragedy, that his recovery was a national crisis, and it was. Because Henry VI was recovered, Margaret regained her power and acted as a de facto leader of Lancaster. She kicked Duke of York out of London as well. Also, Henry VI reversed a work of Duke of York, releasing Duke of Somerset and giving him the land and title back. So eventually, on 22nd of May 1455, forces of Duke of York and Henry VI met at St. Albans. For Duke of York, it was an attempt to kill Henry VI or to be the King of England. Duke of York actually brought his army in name of saving the king from his ill advisors. Also, he also wanted to be in the power. He also wanted to be the Lord Protector of England. This is the start of the Civil War. The first battle of St. Albans is the first battle in the Civil War known as War of Roses, and this is how the War of Roses started. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any question, please leave a comment. Thank you.